ActiveCampaign or MailerLite? That's a big question, and I'm here today to help you find that answer. Hi, my name is Jason Kruger and I'm your TechSimple marketing coach. And on this channel, I keep everything simple so that you can use the online marketing tech in your business. In this video, I want to help you make the decision on whether to go with ActiveCampaign or MailerLite. I will be comparing these two systems and looking at their pricing, their ease of use, and the features that they both have. So what are these systems? Well, ActiveCampaign and MailerLite are autoresponder systems where they help you to automate your online marketing emails. So if someone signs up for your newsletter, for instance, it will automatically send them a welcome email and any other nurturing emails that you may have set up as well. Now, they can also be used as a CRM type system where you can add some additional fields so that you can store a bit more information about that prospect, that lead. You can also add extra fields to a contact record so that you can store more information about them to see how they've interacted with your business. Now, they both have very similar features. They both have the automated email marketing systems or the automations within the system, campaigns where you can just send off one-off emails, and a way to store all that information about a contact. But they do have a different type of feel. ActiveCampaign, in my opinion, does have more of a CRM type feel where you can add extra features to it depending on which package you go with on ActiveCampaign. So it does have the sales pipelines and all that in it as well if you do need those. Whereas MailerLite is predominantly an email marketing system. So yes, it will send you automated emails, but it does have other ways to capture those prospects as well. So forms, landing pages. ActiveCampaign has these as well, but you do have to go for the Plus plan to be able to get those. So let me show you my screen, and we're going to have a look at pricing as the first comparison, because a lot of the time this is what people look at first. So with ActiveCampaign, you can see that they do now have different bundles. They have marketing, sales, and then one where you can actually have both as well. Now, they have recently changed this structure, and in my opinion, it actually has made it more expensive and maybe not as an attractive proposition for certain people. So on the marketing side, you now have to start with the Plus package, which is $49, but you do get extra features. So you do get the landing pages, Facebook custom audiences, site and event tracking, WooCommerce, Shopify, and big commerce integrations. But for a lot of people, especially when they're starting out, they might not need all of this. And it goes up to $149 per month when you go look at the professional plan. If you do not need all that email marketing, they do have the sales, and that is a lot cheaper, but you don't have any of that email marketing capability. It's all to do with sales. So there is some sales automation, lead scoring, pipelines, all of that in there. Now, if I go back to marketing, they do have an area down here where you can go for a much smaller package. So if I click on that, you can see they're marketing this both at $29 and $49 per month. But the one thing that you do have to realize is that this is a pay yearly plan. Now, the Lite package does give you the email marketing and the marketing automation, inline forms, and a few other little bits, but you do lose landing pages and all of that. So if you are wanting to have an all-in-one system, then you will have to go for this bigger package. But if I click on Get Started, we can now change this to the monthly package. And as you can see, it goes to $39 per month. And this is going to be for 1,000 contacts. Now, if we compare this to MailerLite, they just have the main package, which is the marketing side of it. One thing you do have to realize is that this is going to be changing on July 10th, 2023. But at the moment, there's 1,000 contacts and you can get a free package. And that is for 1,000 contacts. Okay, you are limited to 12,000 monthly emails, but I don't think, especially if you're starting out, that you are going to be using all of those 12,000 emails. You do get landing pages, you can build a simple website, and sign up forms and pop-up forms. Now this is all in the free package, which ActiveCampaign does not have. If you need a bit more functionality, then you can go for their growing business. Now I did need to make sure that this is changed to the build monthly packages, and it's $10 per month. But what you do get is you can sell digital products through it, unlimited templates, dynamic emails, auto resend campaigns, unlimited websites and blogs, and subscribe page builder. And that's all for $10 per month. Now, if you do need something more advanced, it is $21 per month. Now, if I do click on here and see what the pricing is going to be from the 10th of July, as you can see, it's still going to be $10. This other one's going to be $20 now instead of $21. You get everything exactly the same. The only big difference is going to be how many subscribers you can have. So instead of having 1,000, you will only be starting on 500. So this is going to be something that you do need to be wary of. This does change for the paid plans. For the free plan, you still get 1,000 contacts. But if you start off with a free plan and you go above 500 and then you want to upgrade to the next package, if I move this up to 1,000 contacts, you are now going to be paying $15 per month rather than the 10. So this is going to be something that you do need to be wary of. But looking at the pricing side of things, MailerLite does come ahead of ActiveCampaign. So just on pricing alone, MailerLite does look like a very good proposition. Now you do need to have a look to see what features you might need. Maybe there are some things in ActiveCampaign that look better than MailerLite. But overall, I do think you get a lot more from MailerLite, especially that they have a free plan. So you can play around with it to see if it works for you. Now, the next thing that I wanted to do is just to look at the usability, look at their interfaces, because I think this does make a big difference if you're going to use it or not. So if I look at ActiveCampaign's user interface, this is the contacts page. So as you can see, it does show you all your contacts and you can have a lot of information on here. It's pretty clean, pretty self-explanatory. Now, if I go into one of these, you can see you've got a recent activity list, so you can see exactly what's happening with that contact. And you've got all these extra fields here, and I can add fields to this if I wanted to and have different sections. They use tags and lists to help you segment your contact list. And it does have a lot of other integrations as well. So at the moment I have this connected to Calendly, for example. But you can have notes, files. You can also email the person directly from within ActiveCampaign. If I look at MailerLite and I look at their user interface, when you first log in, this is the dashboard. You know, it is still very clean and quite self-explanatory. If I look at subscribers, you can see the user interface is quite different. So you can have your details here. You can have extra fields as well. So you can see, you know, you can add contact details as well. So this user interface is very different. You can add notes as well to a contact record, especially if you've taken a phone call, for instance, and you wanted to add that to this, you can do that on here as well. So the user interface is quite different when it comes to a contact record. Now, seeing as we are in MailerLite, we'll just have a quick look at the other areas. So they have campaigns. So this is going to be where you can send off one-off emails. They also have automations. Now, if I look at this one and I just edit this one, it's one that I've been playing around with just to see what extra features they have. So these are the automations. So depending on how you want to start this automation, you can add this here. But when I click on the plus button, these are the next steps. So you can send an email, you can delay it. So you can delay it by a few days, a few hours, etc. You also have a condition, so you can put different conditions in there. You know, if they have, if they're in a certain group, for instance, and then you also have action. Now, if I click on action, I can click on this and I can move them to different groups, remove them from groups, mark them as unsubscribed. or I can update a custom field. Now, where this differs to ActiveCampaign uses tags and lists to help you segment your contacts. In MailerLite, they use groups. So think of groups very much like tags. They also have segments which are more dynamic, so you can have different segments depending on conditions. So depending if they're in one group and not in another, you can make the segments different. So as you can see, that these are what you can do in a workflow or in an automation here on MailerLite. Now, I do want to show you what it looks like on ActiveCampaign, because this is where it is a little bit different. If I click on create an automation, I can start it from scratch, or I can use a lot of their own recipes. So these are pre-built automations that you could potentially use. So if I just click on start from scratch, click on continue, I can have different triggers to start this automation. So if they subscribe to a list, unsubscribe, submit a form, if they've opened an email in a different campaign or different automation, clicked on links, add a tag, and a lot more. So if I click on just add a tag, I can then search for a tag, add that in here. I can then see, is it just going to run this one time, or could someone actually go into this multiple times? So let me just create add a tag to this. Now, this is where it is a lot different to MailerLite, because ActiveCampaign have a lot more action. So you can send an email, you can also send notification email. So if someone has signed up to an ebook, or potentially they've purchased something from you and you're firing off this automation, you could send a notification to yourself so that you know that you might have to take action for something. We also have conditions and workflows. So you do have your wait condition, if else. You can do kind of a split test and go to, so you can skip different steps, goals, start another automation, webhooks, or perform some kind of mouse. As you can see, there's a lot more here than MailerLite. Under contacts, again, I can subscribe them to different lists, unsubscribe them from lists, update a custom field, add or remove tags, or even add a note. So in this instance, ActiveCampaign is a lot more advanced than MailerLite. But where MailerLite now differs to ActiveCampaign, especially that they have a free version, is they have sites or landing pages. So you can create landing pages on here as part of the free package. ActiveCampaign doesn't have this. If you want to have landing pages on ActiveCampaign, you do need to have their Plus account. Now, luckily, I do have landing pages on ActiveCampaign, but I do find it very clunky. And you do also have to create forms, etc., to put on those landing pages. So for instance, if I just edit this design, I do find their editor still something to be desired, and the way that they use forms. But you can create some decent landing pages using ActiveCampaign. But again, you do need to have the Plus account. Whereas on MailerLite, it's free, and it's part of the free package and all the other paid ones. And if you go for a paid ones, you can also then integrate Stripe to MailerLite, so you can then start taking payments directly from MailerLite. And as you can see, I find their editor a lot cleaner than ActiveCampaign, and you have the forms right on here, whereas ActiveCampaign, I think they're still changing that, and you sometimes have to actually create the forms before you actually go into creating a landing page. The other thing that I do find frustrating with ActiveCampaign at the moment is their form builder. It's still a very old form builder, and those forms are not mobile responsive. So you do need to do your own kind of coding or CSS coding to style it and to make it responsive, whereas MailerLite doesn't have those issues. Both are able to be integrated with other systems, and of course ActiveCampaign is definitely going to have a lot more. So you can integrate it with a lot of your other systems that you might have. so that you can then have ActiveCampaign as your control hub to control everything. And that's what normally I do when I'm building bespoke membership sites, is that ActiveCampaign controls the access to the membership site, so you don't have to go to different places. Unfortunately, MailerLite doesn't have that capability. But overall, I think both systems do have their strengths. Which one I would recommend, I think, would depend on your situation. If you do need more of a CRM type system where you can store a lot more information and add other features to it by integrating it with other systems, then I think ActiveCampaign would probably be the app for you. But if you are predominantly going to be using it for just email marketing, creating some quick landing pages, etc., to get those leads, then I do think MailerLite is a great option for you. I have been playing around with both systems for a while now. I actually use Keep, but I've also been playing around with ActiveCampaign and MailerLite, and I'm potentially also looking at which system would I be using if I wasn't using Keep myself. I think personally for me, if I'm looking at a system at the moment just to do my email marketing, I think I would choose MailerLite. It does have other integrations with WooCommerce, for instance, and I think because of that, I don't have to buy any other plugins for my payment system. So MailerLite would fit perfectly in that. Whereas with ActiveCampaign, you do need to buy extra plugins, etc., and it does become more expensive. And ActiveCampaign is just generally more expensive than MailerLite. So I think overall, it does depend on your situation. Both systems are great, and I would recommend both systems still at the moment. But I think it does come down to one, personal preference, and secondly, what you're actually going to be using it for. If it's going to be CRM type system as well as email marketing, then ActiveCampaign is definitely the one to go for. But if you're just going to be doing email marketing, creating your landing pages, then I do think MailerLite is the better option. So I hope you found this video useful, and if you have, please look to subscribe and click on the notification bell so that you get notified when I next post a video. And remember, if you're going to do something, keep it tech simple. I'll see you on the next one.